Welcome back into another preview of the upcoming basketball season. And if you saw the video that went out prior to this one, you know that we're taking a look at Clarksville. It was the girls video which went up a little while ago. We turn our sights now to the boys of Clarksville, see what I think they're going to be able to do this winter on the basketball court. And you know, it has to be said, Clarksville have not had the most success out there. They're a team that has not tasted a whole lot of victory on the basketball court. Last year went 5-15 on the year. They lost to BCLUW to end things last year. They averaged about 51.3 points per game. They averaged 26.5 rebounds per game. Their assist-to-turnover ratio is interesting because it's really not too terribly bad. They had 50 more turnovers than assists, which it's not great. It's obviously not ideal necessarily, but it's not all that bad, to be completely honest with you. They did score more points in the first half than they did in the second half by quite a margin. And I think that's going to get to a bigger point that I want to make a little bit later on in the video. They also averaged losing them by 7.2 points per game. This is a team that loses just one senior, just one, but he was a good one. In bed watching, he averaged nearly, just over 18 points a game last year. Was a really, really good player. He could shoot the rock. He could get to the rim. When he got going, man, look out. He was very, very good. They lose him, and that's going to be a big-time loss. He did lead them in scoring last year, was second on the team in rebounding, and was third on the team in assists as well. That's a big loss for a team like this Clarksville squad, but I don't know that that's going to mean more losses or less wins either way. I think this team should still be capable of doing some things. There are still athletes on this team. There's no doubt about that. And some of them include Ethan Schmidt. I really, really like Ethan Schmidt's game. He's just a junior this year, a bit of a young buck, averaged 14.2 points per game. He also led the team in rebounds, 8.2 rebounds per game, a double-double machine. This is a kid that I know got a number of double-doubles last year, and I think on a game-to-game basis probably should be just about averaging a double-double. That's how good I think Ethan Schmidt can be. And I fully expect him to be threatening to pick up a double-double every single game this winter. He's one of the guys that I'm really looking for throughout the whole entire area. He's one of my favorite players. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this winter because I think he's an outstanding player. Another player is Dawson Hollip. He's a senior this year. The big fella is a confident kid. I really like Dawson. He's a very good player. What I will say about Dawson Hollip, he in fact led the team in three-pointers taken last year. He shot 29.5%, which it could be a whole lot worse. And I think he can shoot it. I don't want him to not shoot three-pointers, but I want him this season to maybe do a little bit more work down in the paint, down on the block, because there were times when you could tell that he didn't necessarily want to go down in the paint, but he would because the game called for it. And he looked really good down there. He looked, at times, dominant down there. And if you've got a guy like Dawson Hollip and Ethan Schmidt, both on the court, both going to work sort of in the paint and working kind of off of each other, man, that's a big-time weapon. And I think that Dawson can do some damage down there. I'd really like to see him play more down in the paint. I think that would see his points jump up. He averaged just under 10 a ball game last year. I think that easily would take him over because now the defense has to defend against you going down in the paint or stepping out and knocking down a three-pointer. I think his three-point percentage would go up as well because he's going to get a little bit better shots. I think he's going to be more confident as well, especially if he sees early shots go through from in close. I think that's going to help his confidence once he steps out beyond that three-pointer to let it fly and see it go through the net. I think that Dawson's got a chance to really step up, really improve this year. Not that he was bad last year, because he wasn't, but I think he's got a chance to really step up this his senior campaign. Now, another kid that's going to be in his senior campaign is Chris Behrens, a guard who can really handle the rock. I really like him. He's an outstanding athlete, and I like the ball in his hands. He's a very good ball handler. He's a lefty. He's quick. He knows how to get to the rim. I really like Chris Behrens' game as well. He averaged over 10 points per game. He also is a kid that led the team in assists, along with Payson Hendricks, who's another senior on this team. We're going to talk about him in just a second. But Behrens, 57 assists in 18 games. Last year was about 1-to-1 assist to turnovers. You like to see the assists go up a little bit more. But yeah, I like Chris Behrens' game. He can shoot it a little bit as well. He made 34 3-pointers last year, which is not a bad total. But one thing, before I go in as them as a team last year, let me talk about Payson Hendricks. I said that I would. He's a kid that I think is an outstanding athlete. Really good athlete. I want him. I need to see him take a huge step up. He averaged 1.6 points a game, and I know that scoring was not his role, and he did the other things, and he did them admirably, and he was very good at them. I want him to add in some scoring this year, because I think he can handle it. Because I think he's an athlete who can score the rock, but I think he can also do the other things that he was doing last year. And I think, and I'm not saying, go off for 15 or 20 a game. Just get to like 6 or 7 points a game. And, first of all, you've got 18 points that you're missing from Ben Watson graduating and moving on. I think Payson Hendricks should jump up and take some of those points, should take some of that point bearing off of his teammates. I think he can score. He's an outstanding athlete, as I said before. Really like him. He averaged 3.5 rebounds a game. I think that maybe could go up a little bit as well. And a good just facilitator. Kept the ball moving, would get it to other guys on the court. A very unselfish player, and could play some pretty darn good defense as well. I think he's got a step to take up as well. Now, those 4 players were 4 of the 5, the 5th being Ben Watson, who basically played all of the minutes last year. And so that's kind of my biggest thing with this Clarksville team. I just think while those 5 guys put up really nice numbers, and those 5 guys, all outstanding athletes, really good athletes, no doubt they were in very good shape. But I think they started to run out of gas. Anybody would. I think they started to run out of gas in that second half. I said earlier that they scored more points in the first half than they did in the second half. And I think a big part of that is they just ran out of gas in the second half. And so what I think needs to be done, I think some other guys are going to have to jump up. I think they're going to have to play them, even if they're not expecting much production, if at all. Just get in there for a minute or two, just to give my guys a break or two. Just here and there. Is it a Drew Cromingay, who's a senior, a good athlete, maybe not the most talented basketball player, but a guy that can get in and just give you some minutes. If nothing else, can give you some fouls maybe. Just get in there and steal some minutes. I think Derek Trees, who will be a junior this year, is another kid that possibly could just get in there and steal some minutes to rest what's a big 4 now this year. And I think there are some other guys in there as well that could just see a little bit of playing time. You don't have to see a whole lot. Just get in there and steal some minutes. I think they need to expand. This is kind of the opposite of where Denver's at. Where Denver last year, I thought they played too many people, and I think it stifled them a little bit. I think Clarksville didn't play enough people, and I think that stifled them a little bit as they couldn't keep things going. I think they ran out of gas in the second half because a lot of times at halftime it was close, and they would end up faltering just a little bit last year. So I think getting more people into the rotation, whether you're expecting a ton of production out of them or not, just getting more people in would be vital this year for Clarksville. That's what I'm really looking for. And another thing, they shot a ton of threes, which is fine. In fact, I loved shooting threes. When I played, that's all I wanted to do. And you can ask any of my coaches, you can ask my dad, whoever you want. That's basically all I did do. I love shooting threes. Shoot threes. But nobody on the team shot over 30% from beyond the arc. And so perhaps cutting down a little bit on those threes, or possibly just maybe being a little bit more selective about which threes you're taking and maybe who's taking those threes, could be a way to not only be more efficient with your three-point shots, but really get that offense going and hitting on all cylinders and being more than just the one-dimensional, if we're having a great night from beyond the arc, we can beat you type of team. Become a team that can beat you inside, outside, on the break, can just shut you down defensively, whatever the case may be. Again, I think you've got three players that you know what you're going to get, and you're going to get a lot of production from them. Payson Hendricks would be the fourth. I think you need a little bit of a bump up there. I think Dawson Hollop gives you a little bit of a bump up, and then you're going to need a couple, 2, 3 guys that can jump in there and at the very least give you some minutes. And that's what I need to see in order for me to in order for Clarksville to improve, and in order for Clarksville to pick up more than 5 wins, which they picked up last year. They're going to need just a couple more guys to step up. So the rating system. A 1 is a title contender. A 2 is a state tournament contender. 3, a team that's just looking to make a run. They're looking to win more games than lose and then go on a run. 4 is a rebuilding team. And this Clarksville team, I've got them as a 4. Rebuilding, and sort of another arm of that is a team that's just not had a whole lot of history, not had a whole lot of success. And I think they're on the top edge of that rebuilding. A team that maybe, if everything goes right, they could jump into that 3 spot, see if they can get to about 500, and then at that point, you get into postseason, knock a couple teams off, and see what happens at that juncture. Right now, conservatively, I'm putting them as a 4, a team that's rebuilding, just looking for a jump up, for some more wins than they had last year. That's not a bad thing. Build this program, keep it building, keep it going. The more success this team has, the more the younger kids will want to get in there and want to play more and play better and come up to high school and ready to go and hoping to carry on what Clarksville has started. So we'll see how things go this winter. That's going to do it for me here for this preview of the Clarksville boys basketball team. And until next time, I'm Taylor Nitz. Okay, bye.